Hey everybody, and welcome back to the shop. Today is a great day. We have a new tool in the shop. I know I talked about this at the beginning of May in my monthly review, my monthly update, but I finally got all of the pieces of this thing and can now talk about it and actually get it into action. So what I have here is a new planer, obviously, and it is the DW735X. So the first thing you need to know is the X basically just means I get a second set of blades and these two tables, the in-feed and the out-feed table. The planer itself, if you get the DW735 or the DW735X, it's the same tool. The only difference is obviously the X costs more because you're getting another set of blades and these two tables. That's the only difference. So there's really not a lot to worry about there. I was going to do an unboxing of this thing, but honestly it basically just about comes completely assembled. The only thing I had to do was take the included wrench, and there's a screw here that goes into this shaft. This crank is in the box separately. You take the screw out of the shaft, put the crank on, tighten it back up. Nice included wrench. And in the back here, when I show you the dust collection, I'll turn this thing around in a minute. There's a plastic shroud for the dust collection that you just have to twist on, and there's a spring-loaded button that pops into a hole that holds it in place. If you have the non-X version, your installation's done. If you have the X version, you have to put the two tables on. They also just use a snap button here. So there's a button here that pushes in on a spring, and then you just push it in and let the button pop out into the hole, and you're in. And these things twist up and down. This one in the back gets blocked by the dust collection, which is kind of a little problem. When I do dust collection, I'm going to turn this around, you'll see what I mean. This one does tilt up nicely if you want to store it. And it tilts down. Now, technically your installation is complete at this point, but these two tables are not level at this point. There are 4 screws, 4 here, and then 4 on this table. All you have to do is slightly loosen them, put a level through here, that's why I have it raised up as high as it is, and then you just tighten the screws back up with the leveling the table. Pretty simple process. Took me about 3 minutes to do, 5 minutes tops. Took me longer to go upstairs and get the Allen wrench to do it than it did to do the job. DeWalt, it would have been nice if you used this wrench for these bolts like you did for this bolt. But you didn't, so it took me an extra couple minutes to go upstairs and get the wrench. No big deal. I think most of us have an Allen wrench to do that with. So what I want to do in this video is talk about the differences between this tool and this guy here that you may or may not be able to see. It's my old lunchbox DeWalt planer. This was the 733. Technically, I think people still would call this one a lunchbox planer. To me, the lunchbox planers are this model. They kind of look like lunchboxes. They all kind of look the same. Honestly, DeWalt, Rigid, Makita, Delta, they all made one of these looking just about the same, where the whole mechanism is inside here and it goes up and down. And I don't think you can see it behind here. But I think we all know what the lunchbox planners look like. This is a more substantial unit. These screws on all 4 corners are much more substantial, and the whole thing rises on them. This is a 92-pound tool, so it's a pretty substantial piece of equipment. One thing to be said about that is it is not that easy to pick up and move around. Hence, I have it on a stand. When I turn it around, if you can't see the stand now, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see it. I actually opted to buy the optional stand, and I know I'll probably hear some grief in the comments that why didn't you build your old stand? And I could have built my own stand, but honestly guys, there's 2 reasons I didn't. One, by the time I priced out the plywood and good casters to work in my floor here, it would have cost me almost as much as this stand cost. It would have taken me longer to build as well. Plus, here in COVID-19 time, unfortunately, it was easier to just click on Amazon and have this thing sent. I'm happy I have it. Remember, part of the reason this thing broke is I didn't have it properly mounted on a stand. This is properly mounted, it's mobile, it's got wheels, I can move it around. I'm pretty happy with it. So the first thing I want to talk about was the build quality. The next 2 things I want to talk about are up front here. We have a depth stop gauge. I will be very interested to see how accurate that is. I won't know until I test it. But the theory is, remember, We call these things planers now, but their full name is thickness planer. This tool's primary use is to bring a board to a finished thickness. Will it make it flat? Sure. If you use the joiner first and flatten a reference face and then put the reference face down and bring it through, the blades on a planer will make the unfinished side the same as the finished side, so it will flatten if you're already flat on the other side. If you put a crooked board through here, it's just going to thin out a crooked board and it will still be crooked. So the main job of this thing is to thickness. So if we set this, right now it's set at 1/4 of an inch. So in theory, when I crank and crank and crank, when that crank stops going, that last pass should give me 1/4 of an inch board. We will test that to see how accurate it is. I hope it works because it's a nice, you know, I'd love to be able to set that thing to 3/4 of an inch and make a bunch of 3/4 inch material. So we'll see how it works. The other thing to see here is this switch here, which is a 2-speed switch. So this is a 2-speed planer. And I think a lot of people are going to think the blade speed. No. The blades spin at 10,000 RPMs constantly no matter what speed you're in. What we're talking about here is the in-feed speed. So how fast it gets put to the blades. So the theory here is you do your heavy-duty thicknessing at the faster speed, then go to a slow speed at a small, thin final cut to get a very, very nice finish. Again, something we have to test to see how well it works. So we will do that. So those are 3 of the 5 things that I think are different with this tool to that tool. The other 2 are, one is inside, so I'm not going to take this apart to show you, but the blades and the blade changing is much, much easier on this tool. There's 4 bolts right here. This top pops off. There's a couple of hand screws inside, plastic little thumb screws that you take out, and the blades are right there for you. This is the tool to take the blades out. There's magnets on this side to pick the blade up, put a new one in. Very easy blade changing. And another interesting feature of these blades is they are adjustable. A couple of the holes here, I don't know if you can see them here. I'll walk this up. I don't know what it's going to do. Probably no good, but the these blades are micro adjustable, meaning they can move left and right a little bit. So if you have a nail in a board that you didn't see and you hit a nail, you know, generally that nick is going to be in the same exact spot on all 3 blades as it spins. You can micro adjust these, move one to the left a little bit, move one to the right a little bit, leave the third one where it was, and all of a sudden they'll clean up each other as they spin. So you get a one-time get-out-of-jail-free card when you hit a nail. That's pretty nice. When you get the X version, you get another set of blades, and each blade is sharpened on both sides. So in essence, I have 4 sets of blades and 4 sets of get-out-of-jail-free when you hit a nail. So 8 possibilities to screw up. Let's see how long that takes me. Who knows? Now the last feature of this thing is... And this moves easier than it looks right here. Unfortunately, my floor is... This floor is cracked and demolished, so things don't roll here very well. I do wish this stand had a little bit bigger, better casters, but they work. This thing does roll around. We have dust collection back here. So part of the reason I'm not doing this a week and a half ago when I got the planer in was I was waiting on these hose clamps, this hose, and this bag to show up. Because you need something for this planer. This planer has what they call a dust extractor, meaning there's a blower motor in here and it blows chips out. If I were to turn this on and run it without this hose connected, chips would literally go everywhere down here. I would have one hell of a mess. So you need something like this. Now notice there's no vacuum here. I don't have this hooked up to a vacuum cleaner. I don't have this hooked up to a true dust collector. The blower motor in here is strong enough to blow the chips down this 4-inch hose. This is a 10-foot 4-inch hose, and it will fill this bag up and throw the chips into this bag. So let's test this. I'm going to set this up, run it, and I'm just going to run a small board through to test. The next video I do is going to be surfacing a board all 4 sides, S4S, and then really all 6 sides, because we'll take it to the radial arm and square it up. We'll make a dimension up and then dimension it to that size. And I'll show you this here. I'll show you it running. We'll test the depth stop. We'll test the 2 speeds. We'll test all of that then. This video is really just to show you the new tool, talk about the 5 things I know about that are better in my mind than this one. And we're going to fire it up once, and we're going to blow this bag up and see what it does. I have not fired this tool up yet, so this will be interesting. I'm going to shut you down for a minute, get it plugged in, and get it going, and then we'll test it. Okay guys, I got it set up ready to run a test piece through. We got a little test piece of, it looks like oak here. I put the bag under the stand. I'm hoping that's where it can stay because that's kind of a nice configuration for it. So I'm going to run the first pass on number 2. Number 2 is the dimensioning setting. Number 1 is the finishing setting. So we'll do one of each. A full crank, a full rotation is a 1/16 of an inch. So let's get it set up. I'm going to give it a half a crank, a 32nd. We're on the second setting. We're going to power her up. Might get a little loud here. I'll try to edit this a little bit. I don't know if you can see it in the light shimmering. That's very good. I mean, it's a very, 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 very good finish. Better than I ever got out of that one. So we'll give it one more shot. We're going to switch it to number 1 for the finish to see how that works. There's a note here that says only switch the speed when it's running. So it must get gummed up if you switch it while it's not running. So we'll give it another half a crank. And we'll power it on and switch it and run it through. Okay, that definitely took a little longer. Guys, this is really nice. I am very happy. I don't know how else to put it. This is better than any board sitting in your home center. This is better than any board sitting in the lumber yard, obviously, because they're usually rough finished. This is a really good, really good finish. The bag. There's some chips in there, but not a lot. I mean, we only ran a couple of passes through, so we'll monitor that as it goes. So that's it, guys. Like I said, the next video we're going to do is going to be dimensioning a board completely, starting at the joiner, going to the table saw, and finishing at the planer. Do an S4S on a board. Maybe we'll just continue with this one. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a piece of cherry a little bit bigger. That's the new planer, guys. That's what I wanted to do in this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this, go ahead and hit the like button. Please share it if you know somebody that's interested in something like this. And obviously, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a good day.